of course, you never want to run out of cash. But for me, I was a top line accountant to a T. Like I would spend whatever we had in the bank account, and then Profit First, which is a kind of antiquated beginner's financial tool for business owners, really did change my business dramatically. And then allowed me to become far more sophisticated. But kudos to them. I will give credit where credit is due. That Profit First system is what finally snapped me out of that top line accounting mentality as a business owner, which I think most of us begin that way.
How do you find the will to fight back against a world that wants to keep you sedated, average, and stuck in place? Join us for the tools and strategies you need to create a life of abundance, discipline, and high achievement. This is the Tactical Empire with Jeff Smith.
Welcome to another episode of the Tactical Empire. I am joined by Sean Ryder today. How's it going, man? How are you?
Yeah. Oh, I'm making it. I feel like the loudest lawnmower ever is outside of my house right now. Not even on my yard, but I can hear it. So hopefully you guys aren't getting that through my microphone. Life is good. It's Monday. Maybe was the last weekend we'd go to the pool. You know, come mid-August, I'm just kind of like tired of going to the pool on the weekends. But it's also been like 40 degrees through the night. So the pool has been freezing, the local pool. There's one gripe I have. And then the positive thing about the weekend was the Greek Orthodox Church in town puts on a Greek festival once a year. And the food yesterday was incredible. It was delicious.
Amazing. Good.
Shout out to the Greek Orthodox Church. But that follows up when I was in Charlotte. So shout out to anyone that's in South End, Charlotte. The first night I was down there, I went to a Greek restaurant. It's kind of like, I guess you could call it fast casual. It wasn't like Chipotle fast casual, but you could get food quickly and fairly priced. It was called Hellenic Greek Kitchen. It was so good. We went back the next night. It was the freshest, biggest portion for great value price Greek food. So shout out to them. I like to shout out small businesses that I've never heard of before. If you're in South End, Charlotte, I suggest you go try them out.
I love it, man.
How are you?
That's awesome. Oh man, I am fantastic. Things are going great. We got some storage project is moving. We poured concrete last week, which is awesome. You wouldn't believe what that does to the aesthetics of that building, because it didn't have concrete previously. It was just gravel.
Like inside of the units, or you're just talking like outside?
No, the floors inside the units were concrete. We poured concrete drives from front to back on the whole facility, though, and it's very nice. As my kids say, it's very satisfying, and I like that. And so aesthetically, the thing is starting to come together and look really good.
Fantastic. I couldn't imagine what the price point on that was. When I was looking at buying a building for my gym back before 2020, I had a quote for paving the parking lot, and it was insane.
Yeah.
Insane. Crazy.
Yeah.
So, but I also saw on Facebook that you had 128 rolled doors show up.
Yes, we got 128 roller doors that are wind rated for 150 mile an hour winds. And so we've been waiting on those since May, I think. So that was a big order. It had slipped about 2 weeks on getting those because of the storms and stuff, I suppose. And so that was really exciting. And now we'll get moving. So
it's interesting to watch this from my view, because one, I'm excited for you. Two, I am an investor in that project, not the owner, but hard money lender, which is a first for me. So it's fun to see the project move along. And then it's this weird dichotomy, because I know I'm earning interest the longer that my money's invested. So it's like, I don't mind if the project takes an extra month or two. So we kind of have this, you want to save money and I want to earn money. So I'm like, when do I want that money back? Do I want it back at Christmas time, or do I want it back at the end of Q1?
And that's funny, because that's how we were kind of conservatively writing our pro formas. I was like, we were like, we should probably get this money for like 9 to 12 months. How long do you think it'll take? I was like, I think I can get this fucking thing done in 4 months. And but when you're pitching the deals to investors, you want to be conservative, and you don't want to miss your timelines. Yeah. And so 12 months made it much more bearable. We'll have this thing refied by October or November at the very latest. So I based on what I see now, unless we have something crazy go on, you'll have your money by the end of the year, as will the rest of the investors, and we'll be on down the road to the next project.
Well, October is only a month and a half away. That's impressive. You said October, November, but it's a good spread there, 60-day spread. So fantastic. No, congratulations on that. You and I have been talking, a little bit about one, the guys in the inner circle, the type of people we get in. We've been really providing way more of content that we provide inside of the inner circle, putting that content out on the podcast. And one thing we haven't touched much on is speaking directly to business owners and mentoring and providing value to them based on your and I's experience. I mean, I've been running businesses since I was actually 22 years old, which is interesting to think about now. I turned 36 in 2 weeks. And, or maybe, I don't even know what today is. What is it? 26. So 5 days, 7 days, September 1st is my birthday. And then you've worked for big Fortune 50, Fortune 100 companies and mentored lots of business owners. So if you're cool with it, the next couple episodes are going to be speaking to business owners and adding value to them.
Let's do it. I love it.
Lovely. I say that. And then the first topic that I'm going to bring in is maybe like a first world business owner problem. And it's one that I see way too often. And it does revolve around money. So here we go, right back to the money topics. And, there's a million different situations that business owners find themselves in. But one that I find many of them in, almost regardless of the time regardless of the position they're in, so to speak, from startup to seasoned, veteran, business owner, successful, whatever. Everyone defines success a different way. But one common theme that I see, regardless of the level regardless of the industry, regardless of whatever, is they all just keep way too much cash in their business. Now, I will say this and have this as a caveat. If you're growing a big business, whatever big means to you, and you're trying to scale and you're trying to triple this, or you're trying to acquire other companies that are like-minded and roll your stuff, whatever. Like if you're just trying to do more inside of that, the four walls of your business, literal and figurative, you're going to need cash. Yeah, some of that's your cash, some of that's other people's cash, but I can see why you need cash. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the business owners who keep cash in their business based on fear, based on lack of knowledge outside of keeping cash in a bank. Talking to the business owners that it makes them sleep well at night. That's cool. I'm cool with that. I'm a big fan of sleeping well at night. But and it's funny, these levels, it's like $20,000 cash is like the first level. Of course, 10 is, but like 20. I've seen a lot of business owners sit with 20. It just sounds nice to them. And then the next level is not 30, it's 50. And yes, I've seen business owners with $100,000 just sitting in a business bank account. And I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of that. So when I say that, Jeff, what comes to mind on, maybe not the business owner that's scaling their big business. Their business is doing well. They have, they have experience. They have consistent cash flows, and they just have that money, regardless of how much it is, just chilling in a business bank account.
Yeah, I mean, you come up against this all the time because, I mean, you come out of a period of time, then your first few years of business where you're like scratching and clawing and trying to make payroll, and it calluses you to the wounds and the beating that you take throughout that process kind of change you a little bit. And some people, it does make them a little frightened. They don't want to return to that point. They never want to run out of cash. Of course, you never want to run out of cash. So don't misunderstand kind of what we're talking about, I guess. But for me, I was a top line accountant to a T. I would spend whatever we had in the bank account and then profit first, which is a kind of antiquated beginner's financial tool for business owners, really did change my business dramatically. and then allowed me to become far more sophisticated. But like kudos to them. I will give credit where credit is due. Like that profit first system is what finally snapped me out of that like top line accounting mentality as a business owner, which I think most of us begin that way. You're like, oh, you've got an extra $10,000, $20,000 in the checking account, and you're like, oh, we could get some new equipment or upgrade this or whatever, invest in the business. And then you turn around, you spend that money, and then your tax bill hits or something else. And you're like, oh, now you're scraping by to figure out where you're going to get that money. And so, like, situations like that are what I'm talking about that scare you into holding and hoarding a bunch of cash. And so, what you need to understand once the business is a little bit more mature and stabilized, and I again don't misunderstand this, because you should be reinvesting in your business to maximize profits and to maximize it, like your capabilities within that business alone. Whether you're scaling, looking to add more locations, looking to add more resources, you should always be trying to maximize and grow what you're doing so that you're building a bigger tent for your employees, a bigger tent for the people who came on and believed in you at the beginning. And so, like, don't starve your business of its profits and sweep them out to your personal gain, because you see that over and over again, especially once people get a little bit successful, where they go buy the boat and then they go buy the boat or the lake house, and then they check out every week, Wednesday afternoon, and you don't see them again until Monday evening or whatever. and that can ruin a business too. So like if you to your point though, that wasn't the point. The point is you should be building your assets and your portfolio and maximizing the money that you have in the account and understanding leverage and lendability with what you have. And so like if you have the $100,000 sitting in your savings account, business savings account, you need to understand that that money can be working harder for you, earning more interest for you and your family. And then also it can be leveraged in a time of crisis within your business. If it turns around that you need access to that money still, there's multiple ways to access it. Whether it be loans to your company from your personal accounts or your life insurance policies, stuff like that. There's ways to do it that are more sophisticated to build your overall portfolio and your overall wealth position.
Yeah, I think there's layers to this. I agree with you. Most small business owners are bank balance accountants. They just look at the bank balance. If the money's there and they want something, they'll go spend it. So I think leveling up to a profit first methodology is definitely a first step for them. And I like that you called it an antiquated accounting strategy for small business owners. I think psychologically and philosophically, they should read the original Profit First book by Mike Michalowicz and get an idea and start setting that money aside so you have that money allocated. And we have another episode, I think, on Profit First, so I'm not going to go into exactly what that is. But essentially, what I don't like about Profit First for the seasoned business owner is it says every quarter you should remove half of your profit account, and that's your owner distribution. Well, next thing you know, we're going to be 2 years later, and you're still going to have a bigger bank account in your profit account because you're only removing 50% every 90 days.
Yep.
So what I want, and from what I've seen with my experience mentoring business owners, is even if their business is their baby, their bread and butter, their the breadwinner business income source for their family, and you don't want to spend a year learning all about the ins and outs of all this other stuff and all these other types of investments, and you don't want to get distracted, because we talk about the risk of getting distracted from your main thing, like you kind of just said, the guys that take that money and go spend it and then take Wednesday to Monday off. We don't want you to do that. What we want you to do is get that money outside of the risky asset, the business, and protect it. I am not about you getting that outside your business and then blowing it. I'm a big fan of lifestyle strategy. So if you've worked hard and there's some cash there and you want to treat yourself, so be it. But you cannot just spend all that money. So my strategy is take profit first and put it on steroids. Get that money, profit and taxes get it out of the business. Talk to your accountant about this. Get it out of the business strategically. Protect that money to benefit you and your family inside of high early cash value life insurance policies. And then once it's protected, then you do with it as what needs to be done. So when tax time comes, and I'm a big fan of paying your taxes in one lump sum at the end of the year, not paying them quarterly. I do not want to give money to the government before they're asking for it. I will pull a loan and lend that money to my business, and I'll replenish that loan as if I was setting tax money aside in the classic profit first strategy to pay down the shareholder loan, to pay back my life insurance loan. Profits, get it out, protect you. And then when other opportunities present themselves, investing in your first piece of real estate, investing in acquiring the complementary business that's local to you, investing in whatever it is that floats your boat, then you do what Jeff said, which is leverage the protected capital and build your asset portfolio bigger. This is the biggest thing that I see from a financial perspective from successful entrepreneurs. They are so hyper focused on their one thing and they're protecting themselves within that business. And to me, that's not true protection. We are here to protect your business, yourself, and your family. So getting that money out of the risky asset and protecting it inside of what we feel is the best financial tool, which is high early cash value life insurance. That's what I have done. It's what Jeff has done. It's what Jeff taught me. We're not here to tell you what you need to do. We're here to tell you to educate yourself on that. And that's what we can help men with. And we've seen that inside of the inner circle. So, you got to level up your thinking. You got to level up your financial intuition and remove that cash. Does anything else come to mind in regards to why business owners keep all that money in their bank account?
Well, I mean, I think that some of it is that they just don't understand industry to industry. Like there's no rule book to this stuff, right? It's where your comfort level lies. So I have dealt with this as having run businesses in different industries. Like, okay, I have a real estate portfolio. What is the right amount of money to keep in? Because obviously this is a sliding scale, no matter, depending on the industry you're in. Some people could, I mean, we've talked about that. Like if your burn rate is $250,000 a month, you're going to need a different size savings account than a business, let's say a gym that maybe has expenses of $17,000 a month or $30,000 a month. Like that's a different burn rate and a different savings account that's necessary regardless of how much income is actually coming in, right? And so one rule of thumb that I have kind of brought myself accustomed to regardless of industry is kind of like I want to have 6 months of actual expenses in the savings account for the business. Now, does that need to be day one before you start doing profit distributions? No, because like 1 month of expenses is going to give you tons of breathing room. But should you still be saving? Are things getting more expenses? Are your expenses going to be rising? Probably. And so like in order to do that, because like to your point, when you were talking about McAllowitz saying 50% forever, keep saving 50%, and that nest egg is going to keep on growing. The last thing you want to do in a gym business or a high liability business is have just free and clear cash sitting around, because it makes you a target for litigation and lawsuits, which are something that we didn't mention. And so like if you have $500,000 cash in your savings account, you're running like a high liability business where a slip and fall or someone getting injured is very likely. You may not hold on to that cash very long. Just from an arbitration standpoint and a settlement standpoint with regards to insurance. So for me, what I've kind of settled on, and this is how I run my real estate and stuff like that too. So if I have a portfolio, I hold on and I slowly build that amount. But what I want in capital reserves is 6 months expenses. So like if we went to zero in that business, do I have 6 months expenses of leeway? And so like obviously you can set up a schedule to save that money, however that works. But you should still be drawing your under distribution. You should still be taking your profit draws and then set up a reasonable savings rate that you're sweeping for to get to that 6 months. That's what I like to do. because then you're bulletproofed everywhere, but you don't have too much cash.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring that up, because I was going to bring up, if for simplicity's sake, if business owners wanted a number, then 6 months is the go-to, right? Like 6 months of expenses, I think that is a ton. 180 days is a ton of time, and if your business shits the bed one month, you got time to figure it out, and that's what small business owners do. For me, again, excluding high burn rate companies, excluding companies that have volatile sales. If the company, if your business is more consistent, right, you have a plus or minus 5% sales volatility on any given month, so it's pretty consistent. I like to get them started at the 6 month mark, and then we slowly, over a 6 to 12 month period, get them comfortable dropping that down to 5 months, 4 months, 3 months. With my previous gym business, I was very comfortable at the end of every month. All the bills were paid, and I know the revenue was going to hit in that first week of the month. I was very comfortable getting that business bank account down to below 1 month's worth of expenses, because we were a consistent business. We were a seasoned business. And so this answer isn't the end all be all for all business owners, but we're specifically talking to kind of like one or two types of business owners. So, I'd love to hear back from business owners on why they keep the amount of money in their banks that they do. We just want to expand your brain and get you thinking outside of that. And we want to put that money to work, right? We are big fans of the velocity of money, and every dollar that you have sitting in a bank account, even though it may help you sleep well at night, if it's not protected first, and if it's not earning you good returns, and it can't be leveraged to get you higher than 5% online bank savings rates, we need to get you to start cycling that money into other assets to hopefully accelerate your business wealth and your personal wealth. That's all I had on this topic. I completely understand if you are fearful. I completely understand if it's making you sleep well at night. I've been there. I've done that. That's why I believe in the financial tools that we use, because they cover the bases in which I needed covered. I needed protection. I needed to make sure I had access to capital. I did not want to stow away my money in products that don't allow me to touch it. And so I completely understand the business owners that like to be within arm's reach of all that cash. We just think there's a better way. Jeff, anything else? If not, send the business owners that are sitting on too much cash, send them out.
Yeah, I think that you made a very good point. In the service industry, with a mature business, I recommend to only keep 1 month's expenses with liquidity. Meaning, if you have a line of credit with your business or something like that, then 1 month's expenses is plenty.
Yeah.
So just go to whoever you bank with that you've been running that mature business with and say, hey, I would like a line of credit for this business. I don't need anything. It's going to cost you $150 or something to open the line of credit. You let it sit there. You don't access it. Then you hold, let's say your month's expenses are $20,000. Then every dollar above $20,000, you sweep out of there and put into your investments. Because to be fair, the real estate was not a good analogy at all. The reason that I hold 6 in that is because let's say my expenses for that business to manage and maintain the property are $2,000 a month. But if I have damage to the property or a make ready, I could easily have a $10,000 repair that needs to happen to that property. My ideal number in my mind is I don't want to write a check out of my personal account to turn that business back on. So if the house or the apartment is a business, the reason that I would save 6 months of expenses is to offset damage and repairs, remodeling, things like that are higher ticket. You don't see that in a service-based business. In a service-based business, you have your expenses on a regular basis. So I would be perfectly comfortable doing 1 month there, which is what I used to recommend to the clients that I coached. And with 1 month of savings with a line of credit from $50,000 to $250,000, and you're golden. And then you should take all of the rest of the money and multiply it for yourself.
I'm so glad you brought that up. I haven't said that in months, maybe even a year to someone. Ladies and gentlemen, Your credit cards and your line of credit are your emergency fund. Like, that's what I've told people in the past. I haven't said that in a long time. So thank you for bringing that up. You need to put your cash to work. Credit cards and your line of credit are your emergency fund. This is why you cannot listen to personal finance scarcity-minded gurus, because they hold you in a position that is the slowest path to wealth. You cannot be an asshole with money, but you also cannot be ignorant. The world is moving too fast. Use credit cards appropriately. Use lines of credit appropriately. Trust your skill set. Trust your business. Trust the data. That large emergency that can't be cash flowed on a credit card or line of credit over the next 3 to 6 months, it rarely happens. But when it does, you will have your money working elsewhere, and you will use future cash flows and business savings rates to pay down the line of credit and credit card over time. Okay.
Yep.
So love it. Thank you for bringing that topic up, Jeff. It's been a while since I hit that. Yep. Send the awesome people out.
Guys, subscribe, follow us on YouTube. We've got a ton of content out there regarding infinite banking, real estate investing, business in general. If you guys have questions about business, hit us up. You can probably, Instagram's the best place to have a chat with us. Just send us a DM if you have any questions. We've got a Facebook community on the Tactical Empire community on Facebook. It's a free group. If you have any interest in that, hop in there. Otherwise, have a kick-ass week. Continue to move yourself and your family forward. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.